Okay, good morning and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube Table Enabled, a new week of Shulchan Aruch Yomi. We're doing Siman Kuf Ayin Vav 176. We're talking about Dvarim Anohagim Besuda, things that apply to your meals. Very interesting halachas. Let's get started. Halacha Aleph. There is only one halacha today. Berech al pas poteres of our paris. If you made a bracha on bread, you sat down for a meal. Parperes. Now parperes is really breadcrumbs. That's what actually the Shulchan Aruch says, right? Perure, he explains the Hainu perure pas dak dak shadab come im marak udvash. You have breadcrumbs. You stuck them together with soup mix or honey, or more commonly when you make something called schnitzel. If you know what schnitzel is, if you ever been in the kitchen and you take the chicken breast and you put some egg batter on it, and then you dip it in these breadcrumbs. I like to put some tomato paste or tomato sauce um, first on the chicken breast, and then with the egg batter, and then to dip it in, to have a little bit of that sauce underneath the schnitzel. I think that's the only way schnitzel really tastes good. But most people, not like me, really enjoy schnitzel, especially here in Israel. Schnitzel is very famous food. People love it. It's Wednesday every day in the mirror. They have a special machine in the mirror to make schnitzel. There's only two places in Israel they have this machine. One is in the army, and probably have multiple machines for the army to make schnitzel. And in the Mir Yeshiva, for Wednesday, they make tons of this schnitzel, and everyone loves the schnitzel. It's everyone's favorite lunch. Or when I was growing up, when I was younger and here learning in Israel, I remember the schnitzel day. I think also was Wednesday. Schnitzel was the best. Yeah, now I'm older, I'm more refined. I eat like gourmet food more. Schnitzel is not my favorite food. There's other ways of making chicken breast edible. With chicken breast by itself, it doesn't really taste that good. And I believe with breadcrumbs, it also doesn't taste that good. I did last week. I bought a pretzel coating, pretzel bits that was ground up pretzels. We tried. My wife tried that, and then we also tried cornflakes, which are good. And cornflakes I actually do like. Cornflakes are actually good. I remember from Carl's and Gabby's in America, they used cornflakes. That was pretty good. So cornflakes was a winner. Pretzel bits not so much. Definitely not breadcrumbs. But we'll talk about it because a lot of people do like schnitzel, and the Gemara talks about it. So if you make a bracha on bread and then you serve schnitzel during the meal, you don't have to make a bracha on it. Obviously, it's part of your meal. Berech al harperes, Shulchan Aruch says, lo pater es pas. If you made a bracha on schnitzel, you had a little schnitzel, your wife's cooking some schnitzel before your bread meal, and then you sit down and you eat bread, right? You got to make a bracha on bread. Now, of course, you make a bracha on bread, right? The bracha on schnitzel is mezonos or shahakol. We'll talk about that in a second, but mezonos is not exempt hamotzi. Now, so, um, but the answer is it really does, because if I make a mezonos on, um, that's the thing, right? Mezonos is not hamotzi, so that's the chiddush of the halacha, is that even though technically breadcrumbs, really, right? Breadcrumbs are really small pieces of bread. That's what really they are. If you have real breadcrumbs, sometimes breadcrumbs that you buy are not exactly that. They're not breadcrumbs. They're already cooked. They're already processed. They're already fried already. But if it's just real breadcrumbs and you use it to make schnitzel, that's really hamotzi, right? Breadcrumbs are hamotzi. Even if you eat a little bit of bread, you take a bread and you cut it into really small pieces, you still make hamotzi on it. So chiddush is halacha. Even if you had it in mind, I think, and the Shulchan Mishabura says your berach al Paris when in mind for the pas, it doesn't exempt the pas because, well, I'm going to tell you the explanation in more greater detail and Ian to lean on, but basically, you think about a wedding, right? Right? You have a smorgasbord, you have a main meal. So smorgasbord, it's not a sort of schnitzel. Maybe that's what I haven't been to a smorgasbord in a long time, so maybe that's what they serve now in schnitzel. I don't remember when I was younger if they served schnitzel. And in America, schnitzel wasn't a big food. But if you have schnitzel during the smorgasbord, it's not going to exempt the pas. And I'll explain that more. Talina Haga Beirech al Parperes Poter Maisekadir. However, if you made a bracha on schnitzel, it exempts anything else from the zonas. For example, noodles, shudaisa or porridge or farina. Beirech al Maisekadir Poter Parperes. Similarly, these brachas are both with zonos. So therefore, you make a bracha on porridge, it also exempts your schnitzel. Stay tuned for Ian Talian, where I talk more about the nature of schnitzel and smorgasbords and weddings, and really explain this halacha of berach habaras of padlah hadavat. Obviously, this doesn't poter the pas. it's Mizonos and one is Hamotzi, I'll tell you my in unique Chiddush and Ian to lean on. Even if it is actually Hamotzi, it wouldn't exempt the bread. I'll tell you what the circumstances are. I believe the Gemara was talking about Ian to lean on coming up next.